You won't believe what happened in today's story.
You ever have a place, a spot on this earth that just sticks with you? For me, that place is the old Miller workshop. Been empty for 30 years now, a rusting tombstone for a life I almost lived. They said old man Miller just walked away one day, spooked by something. I used to laugh at those stories, just old wives' tales, but a man with too much time on his hands starts to believe in strange things. I went inside. Door rusted shut, groaned like a dying animal when I forced it open. The smell hit me first. Dust, decay, old oil, and something else, something cold and metallic like fresh blood on a winter morning. You know that smell? It was thick, heavy, pressing down, and the silence. Not a peaceful quiet, but a listening silence, like the air itself was holding its breath. Then I heard it, a faint scrape from the back, like something being dragged ever so slowly across the concrete floor. It was a sound that didn't belong. My heart started hammering. You don't call out to something you don't want to find, but my mouth moved on its own. Hello, my voice was thin, swallowed by the gloom. The scraping stopped, utter, complete silence. And then from behind an old workbench, a soft clatter, just enough to let me know I wasn't alone, and that whatever was in there was listening to me too. I stood there frozen, the frantic drumming of my heart the only sound I could hear. The air grew colder, noticeably so, and I could see my breath, a faint wisp. My eyes strained to pierce the darkness at the far end of the workshop. Cobwebs hung like shrouds, and dusty tools lay scattered on the workbenches. Everything seemed frozen in time, a life abruptly abandoned. The feeling of being watched was palpable. You know that prickle on the back of your neck? It was like that, but amplified. I slowly took a step back, my gaze fixed on the heavy wooden workbench. On its surface amidst the dust, I saw a small, rusted monkey wrench. Nothing was touching it, nothing was near it, but then slowly, almost imperceptibly, it began to slide, just an inch, then another, across the dusty surface. It moved with a quiet, deliberate motion as if an invisible hand was nudging it. My blood ran cold. This wasn't a rat, this wasn't the wind, this was something else, something that shouldn't be. And it was playing with me. I wanted to run, but my feet felt like they were bolted to the concrete floor. Then a new sound, a soft, rhythmic tap, tap, tap. It was coming from the wall behind the workbench where a pegboard hung, laden with more tools. I squinted, trying to make sense of the tapping. It was too deliberate, too evenly spaced, like someone knocking very gently from the other side. But there was no other side, just the exterior wall. And then one of the hammers on the pegboard, a heavy claw hammer, began to swing. Slowly back and forth like a pendulum. No breeze, no vibration, just that impossible rhythmic swing. Tap, swing, tap, swing. Each movement seemed to mock my disbelief. My mind, even in its terror, desperately tried to find a rational explanation. An old building settling, but I knew the truth. Reality itself was unraveling around me. The cold, the terrible, unnatural cold was seeping into my very bones. I finally found my voice, a choked, trembling whisper. Who's there? No answer, of course. Just the continued, maddening tap swing of the phantom hammer. The air was thick with a presence I couldn't name. And then out of the corner of my eye, I saw something else. On a shelf above the workbench, a stack of old, yellowed blueprints began to tremble. Just a slight vibration at first, then more pronounced. The paper crinkled, a dry, brittle sound that was too loud in the unnatural quiet. This wasn't just a random occurrence, it felt targeted, like whatever was here knew I was watching and was putting on a show. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic bird trapped in a cage. This wasn't some natural phenomenon, this was something else, and it was here with me in this decaying workshop. The tapping of the hammer stopped abruptly. The blueprints settled. A deafening silence descended once more, but this time it was expectant, like a predator waiting for its prey. Then it started. A series of movements on the various workbenches. A screwdriver here, a pair of pliers there, a box of rusted nails. They didn't fall, they just moved, slid a few inches, rotated slightly as if being rearranged by unseen hands. It was a slow, deliberate ballet of inanimate objects performed for an audience of one, my audience. It was like a silent message being meticulously spelled out, but I couldn't understand it. All I knew was the overwhelming feeling of being toyed with, manipulated. Then on the main workbench, the one closest to me, a small, leather-bound notebook, thick with dust, slowly slid open. Not just open, but to a specific page. On that page, written in faded, spidery ink, was a single word, a name, my name. How could it know? The rational part of my brain screamed that it was a coincidence, but the chilling certainty in my gut told me otherwise. This was no accident. This was a direct communication, a taunt. The air crackled with a malevolent amusement. It felt like whatever was here was enjoying my terror, feeding on it. My breath caught in my throat, a painful gasp. My eyes, wide with horror, remained fixed on that open notebook, on my name. And then the page began to crinkle. Slowly, from the bottom corner, it started to fold in on itself as if an invisible finger was pressing down. The paper creased deliberately until a new word was revealed, written underneath my name. A single word, stark and accusatory. Go, not a request, a command, a threat. My mind reeled. This wasn't just random poltergeist activity. This was intelligent. This was personal. This thing, whatever it was, knew me, and it wanted me out. The message was clear, undeniable. The cold intensified, pressing down on me, making my ears ring. The silence in the workshop, which had been so absolute, now throbbed with an unspoken menace. I knew with a certainty that chilled me to my core that if I stayed, something truly terrible would happen. something far worse than a swinging hammer. This was a final warning, delivered with chilling precision. The command echoed in my mind, finally jolting me out of my paralysis. My legs, still trembling, somehow found the strength to move. I stumbled backward, away from the workbench and that impossible notebook. The workshop seemed to shift around me, the shadows deepening, stretching, taking on grotesque forms. Every creak of the old building, every rustle of dust became amplified and sinister. I could feel its gaze on me, following my every desperate move. It was no longer playing, it was watching, waiting for me to obey. My heart hammered against my ribs, a desperate drumbeat urging me forward. I turned, my gaze sweeping the cavernous space, searching for the door. It seemed impossibly far away, swallowed by the gloom. The air felt thick, heavy, like wading through deep water. And then I heard it again, that faint scraping sound, not from the back but from right behind me. Close, too close, I didn't dare look back. Every fiber of my being screamed at me to keep moving, to escape this place before it completely consumed me. The scraping grew louder, a dragging sound on the concrete directly in my wake, like something heavy with a jagged edge was being pulled along the floor. Do you understand that feeling? The primal, instinctual terror that makes your skin crawl. That's what I felt, and it was gaining on me. My lungs burned, my legs ached, but I forced myself to move faster, scrambling towards the front door. The scraping behind me was relentless, a constant, chilling reminder of the unseen presence that pursued me. I could almost feel its breath on my neck, a cold, stale exhalation. The workshop, once just an abandoned building, had become a living, breathing entity, pulsating with an unseen, malevolent energy. Shadows writhed, the air grew colder, and the metallic smell intensified, burning my nostrils. I pushed against the rusted door, putting all my weight into it. It groaned, protested, but wouldn't budge easily. Panic clawed at me, tearing at my resolve. With a final desperate heave, the door shrieked open, revealing a blinding rectangle of daylight. Never in my life had I seen a more beautiful sight. I stumbled out, gasping, sucking in lungfuls of fresh, clean air, turning my back on the nightmare within. I didn't look back, I couldn't. The sounds from inside seemed to swell for a moment, a final, frustrated roar, then faded as the door, with a final, mournful groan, swung shut behind me. And then silence, a different kind of silence this time, the silence of escape, but not entirely, not really. I leaned against the weathered exterior wall of the workshop, my body trembling, my heart still racing a marathon in my chest. The sunlight felt alien on my skin after the oppressive cold inside. I gulped air, trying to clear the metallic taste from my mouth, the ringing from my ears. I was out, I was safe, but the silence lingered, not just in the air, but in my mind. The kind of silence that leaves echoes, memories that claw at the edges of your sanity. I never went back, of course. Not to the workshop, and I never told anyone exactly what happened in there. Who would believe me, a man my age spinning ghost stories? But sometimes late at night when the house is quiet and the wind whistles just so through the eaves, I hear it, that faint scrape, 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 or the soft, rhythmic tap, 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 and I remember the cold, the smell, the impossible movements, and my name written in that dusty notebook. But here's the thing, the story isn't over, not for me. They say old man Miller just walked away, just left the place locked up. He had a family, a good life, but he never looked back. I always thought he was a coward. Now I know he was smart, because it doesn't just stay in the workshop. The things you bring out with you, they stick, they leave a mark. A year after I was in there, my dog, old Max, started acting strange. He'd stand in the middle of the kitchen, tail tucked, staring at a spot on the floor where nothing was. He'd growl a low, guttural sound, not at a person, but at something. My wife, bless her heart, would just say he was getting old, but I knew. I saw the same fear in his eyes that I saw in my own, the same feeling of being watched. Then things started to disappear. My keys, a watch, the remote for the TV. We'd tear the house apart looking for them, only to find them later, sitting in plain sight, but not where we'd left them. It wasn't a mistake, it was deliberate. Like someone was reorganizing my life. My wife, bless her heart, would just get frustrated. "You're getting forgetful, honey," she'd say. I'd just nod, but I knew it wasn't me. It was in the house, with us. It's been a few years now, the dog's gone. My wife, she's gone too, not dead mind you, just she couldn't take it. The silence, the cold spots in the middle of the room. The whispers she said she heard when no one was home. I tried to tell her, I did. I said it came from the workshop, that I brought it back with me. But she just looked at me with that pitying stare, the kind you give to a man who's losing his mind. She packed her bags and left. Said she couldn't live in a house with a ghost she couldn't see and a husband she didn't recognize. Now it's just me, and I hear the scraping on the floorboards sometimes, the soft tap on the wall. I wake up to find my glasses moved from the nightstand to the kitchen table. It's always here. It's not trying to scare me anymore. It's not angry. It's comfortable. It lives with me. A quiet, unseen roommate. Old man Miller was right. He knew you don't just walk away from a place like that. You run, but some things are faster than you are. Some things, they follow you home. Do you hear that? Just listen. That faint creak, no, it's nothing. Just the house settling, just the wind, right?
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to see more stories.